Crescent City Steakhouse, a true neighborhood restaurant operated by the Vojkovic family since 1934, is the oldest steakhouse in the city of New Orleans. Serving only hand-cut, prime-aged, corn-fed beef for over 80 years, Crescent City Steakhouse has become a dining destination for both die-hard locals and adventurous travelers who seek traditional, timeless New Orleans cuisine. Crescent City Steakhouse, 1001 North Broad, on the corner of St. Philip, in the heart of New Orleans. Laissez le bon temps rouler. Happy Mardi Gras, everyone. And this show's so big, we're gonna air it twice. Obviously, I tape on Tuesdays. Next week is Fat Tuesday, so you're either watching it on the 6th or the 13th. But either way, hope you have a great Mardi Gras week. And if you're watching this on Mardi Gras Day, I hope you had a great Mardi Gras. By the way, I'm wearing colors today for a reason. Blue coat for UNO Privateers. Green and purple for the LSU Tigers, Tulane Green Wave, because this is the baseball extravaganza we do every year where we bring the three coaches. Jay Johnson, defending national championship from LSU, coming on the set, and there's your Mardi Gras shots. This is the greatest time of year because when everybody else is getting over the holidays for a couple months, we bring on Mardi Gras. We know how to celebrate down here, and it's the beginning of a great, great week of festivities, and I hope everybody enjoys and has a safe time. But by the way, I was talking about LSU Jay Johnson coming, Tulane's Jay Uhlman, and UNO's Blake Dean will all be here to preview their college baseball seasons. We know LSU won the national title. Jay Johnson was National Coach of the Year. This will be an interesting show. I cannot wait. By the way, last night, the Pels, they won three in a row. They had lost 5 of 7, and now they've won 3 in a row, and they are on a little bit of a streak. And that guy right there, Brandon Ingram, went off for 41 points, a season high for any Pel this season. And he had 8 threes in that third quarter. If you didn't see it, it was something to see. 5 3-pointers in a row. They just kept feeding and fanning him, and he just kept delivering. It was awesome. They beat the Toronto Raptors by 30, and they were up by 40 at one point. They go on the road. They got the Clippers tomorrow night on the road, and then they go at Lakers. They'll be back after Mardi Gras next Wednesday. LSU was on a 3-game losing streak. They beat down Arkansas badly on a much-needed win, so now they're 4-4 in conference. Tulane was also on a 3-game losing streak. 2 heartbreakers. That guy, Kevin Cross, helped 27 points, and they beat Temple in overtime. And UNO, who was on a 6-game losing streak, tore it up last night. 3 guys scoring 20-plus, and they blew out Houston Christian. Hey, moving forward, how about this? The Saints finally got their man, Clint Kubiak, offensive coordinator. He is the 49ers passing game coordinator right there, and he is going to bring that to New Orleans, and he is the guy that's in the Super Bowl this week with the Niners. That is right, Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl Sunday. They play those Niners, and boy, Matt Mahomes, we know about Kelsey, but how about the guys that he's been coaching? Clint Kubiak's been coaching. Purdy's having a great year. And, of course, we know about McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel, etc. Hey, bad news, sad news. Apollo Creed, Carl Weathers, a St. Aug grad, passed away. May he rest in peace. Stay tuned. It's the baseball extravaganza right here on Primetime Sports.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. I've been waiting for this show for about 3 months. The baseball extravaganza, we do it every year. We bring coaches from all over the South. This time we're staying completely local. We've got LSU, Tulane, and UNO, as I mentioned in the open. We're starting with the Tigers, who just won the national championship. They're 7th overall, and in only his second year. Jay Johnson won a national title, the only coach to ever do that. And by the way, Kim Mulkey followed with that second title and her first title in her second year as well. But we have Jay Johnson here to talk about the transition from that team to what we're going to look at this season, and then we're going to go beyond that. But Jay, welcome back, dude.
Good to see you.
It's so good to see you, man.
Great seeing you.
I remember you got the job. You came in. You said you were kind of putting some guys together. Then, you know, I saw you at the beginning of last year, and then in the middle of the season, you were kind enough to do an interview from, you know, Satellite-wise, and then you came on at the end of the year. But since this championship, and I know you've been asked this a million times, it's been half a year. Has it sunk in completely yet? I mean, now you're always going to be known as a World Series champion. Like every time I introduce Coach Brady on the show, I say Final Four, and that was 20 years ago. You'll always be a World Series coach.
Yeah, it's awesome. Sign me up for that.
Right on.
I'm very proud of that team and what it accomplished. It's so hard to do nowadays.
So hard.
And I just really appreciate how the team went about everything. And literally for 2 years, from our staff arriving here, a lot of things were done right, by the coaches, by the players, by the administration, the support, the fans. I mean, showing up in Omaha, that was amazing. And just very proud of that team and really excited for 2024.
As a guy, and I want to ask you this, I didn't think about it until I was just looking at you right now, but as a guy that has taken advantage of the transfer portal, I want your honest opinion as a coach who recruits well and recruits hard, and guys can come and go whenever they please. The first time you heard about the portal being open and guys being able to leave whenever they wanted, what was your immediate reaction to that? Because I know most coaches I know like, oh my gosh, that means I have to re-recruit these guys?
It was really interesting timing. It was my last year at Arizona.
Yeah.
I hadn't been named the LSU coach, and we were in the World Series at the time, and guys were going. Yeah, and guys were going in the portal. And to be honest, I was so locked in on trying to help us win the national championship, I wasn't thinking about it. Well, then I get hired at LSU 3 or 4 days later, and then you start looking around, and Arkansas is getting this guy from this school, and Texas A&M is getting this guy from this school. It's like, well, we better get moving because the SEC is about to get old and more talented than it's ever been. And that first year, I'm really proud of 22. The guys that we brought in,
phenomenal.
They helped make that team. And then obviously you move to last year with Paul Skeens, Tommy White, Thatcher Hurd. A huge reason we won the national championship, obviously.
Absolutely.
And then, for our team this year, several of the guys will be key contributors. So I don't really think of whether I like it or have an opinion on it. It's just like, this is what we're going to have to do.
Just roll with it.
To try to, stay at the top of college baseball.
Have y'all lost guys that you kind of wish that maybe they didn't go elsewhere? Has that been the case yet?
Not really.
Right.
LSU is a great place, and we had only one guy off of last year's team transfer, and it was really what was best for him.
Sure.
And I would tell you he was one of my favorite players on the team.
Right.
As a person, but it was a good move for him. And other than that, we've been pretty successful in that regard.
I remember you came on the right after you got those transfer portal guys last year, it was in the summer, and you're talking about Tommy Tanks White, and you can just look at pictures of this guy at NC State. He just looked like a dude that was going to make a difference one way or another. I mean, he just has this persona. Now that you've been around him for a year and a half, what's Tommy like?
Well, first off, he's a phenomenal hitter. I've been very blessed to coach a lot of great hitters. Like, he's in the top group of that. And when the top group consists of Dylan Cruz, Chris Bryant, and Tommy White,
Some great players.
Yeah, Jacob Berry, maybe Austin Wells.
Jacob Berry,
who's the catcher for the Yankees now.
Yeah.
I've been pretty lucky, especially here these last few years.
So he's in that top tier.
No question about it. He's one of the best competitors I've ever coached.
He was hurt last year and still got over 100. Didn't he lead the nation in RBIs?
Yeah, I think he had 105, and I've never even heard of that before.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and super proud of him. He's clutch, obviously. And he hunts those RBIs, man. He's great with runners on base.
He
and
might
that's
have
a
had
special
200 if he played in the late 90s.
Yeah, that's a special quality as a hitter to be at your best when it matters the most in the game, and that's always with runners on base, and that's Tommy.
Before I get off to the rest of the guys on this team, I want to say, what was the foundation that was left? Dylan Cruz was not a homegrown guy from Louisiana, but he was a recruit. He came in, he played at LSU the whole time. Obviously, you brought in a guy like Paul Skeens. He's the number 1 and 2 picks of the Major League Baseball draft. That's almost impossible to happen. But now that they've laid this foundation for the Jay Johnson version of the Tigers, what did that mean for your program?
As everything. I think a couple things that stand out. Last year's team was incredibly selfless. They always placed the needs of the team above their own individually. And to do that and show the maturity to do that, that's something we always want to be a foundation of our program. That's something that Coach Burtman's teams, and Coach Maneri's best teams, they had that. Yeah. And last year's team modeled that. I think we had exceptional player leadership, the guys you mentioned, and then Louisiana guys like Gavin Dugas, Cade Beloso. I mean, these guys were just, expected the best out of everybody all the time. I mean, we didn't have very many bad days. I'm not even talking about just in games and practice, training. The culture was phenomenal. I think they set a foundation of mental strength, and you have to have that to play at LSU. And I'm just super proud of that foundation you're speaking of.
There's a picture I use a lot when I reference you on the show, whether it be in the open or I'll say something. It's the shot of the basically ticker tape, purple and gold, coming down, showering on you on the field after you won the championship. I mean, what an arduous road that was. There it is right there. I just love this picture because I think you're kind of soaking it all in. I mean, I don't know what your thought was in that moment, but I'm imagining, I mean, you got to the World Series pretty quick at Arizona. Then you win again. You almost won it, right? And then you win again your last year at Arizona. I mean, that in itself is remarkable. Then you come here, and in your second year, you win it all. So in that moment, and that whole thing right there, I always wonder what is going through the mind of the coach when he knows, goodness, are you automatically thinking already the next year, or are you just soaking this in?
Yeah, that night I really made a conscious effort to be incredibly present right there because it's so hard to do. And there's a couple things that were going through my mind. Number one, I was so proud of the team and so proud of the program because it wasn't just winning the national championship. It's like these guys operated like national champions every day. The second thought was they had so much expectation on them and they met it. And nowadays that doesn't happen all the time. And they met it because of how they operated. And then, personally, we lost in the championship game in 2016, 7 years prior, and we lost 2 one-run games in the finals after winning game one. And, that's, I'm at peace with it because that team accomplished way more than anybody thought that it would. But it was nice to win that last game. And for me, it felt like kind of every player I'd ever coached won a national championship when we won last year.
Yeah, I mean, okay, that's interesting because you went that first year that you went to the World Series, 16, you say, and an unexpected team to get that close, and you were so close. This time, you had the #1 team going in, which is always the mark on your back. I mean, going in, you accepted that. I remember you come, hey, I'll take it. We're the best team right now, according to other people. But to have that mark, and I remember, I told you this before, I had so many people calling me after the loss of Mother's Day to Mississippi State, up 8 or 9, and they're like, Scott, this team's overrated. I'm like, y'all don't know what you're talking about. And then we lost in the SEC tournament, some close games, and they said, I don't think they have the guns to do it. And I remember it's just flat out on that next show after the last SEC, this team's going to win the national championship. And everybody looked at me like, did I 100% believe it? Maybe not. But I certainly felt they had the capability and the components to do so. So when you went through that season, which was mostly up, y'all won every series until towards the end. But talk about that run and the up and down towards the end, and then maybe some doubt was creeping in to I'm not saying to you, but maybe to some of the fans. I mean, I'm curious what your thoughts were during that whole process.
Yeah, I think I marvel at the consistency of last year's team. I mean, I think we were #1 for 12 or 13 straight weeks, and doing that
was crazy.
In the modern day SEC baseball is remarkable.
Unheard of.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
I think, we did suffer 4 season-ending injuries to pitchers that I believe will pitch in the major leagues someday.
Right.
That doesn't happen and then you immediately figure it out. And so we had to work our way through that a little bit. But I never was overly concerned because I knew the people on our team. I knew the talent on our team. I knew the mindset of it. And it was actually probably good. We just were able to reset a little bit. Like, I'll give you an example. When we lost 2 one-run games in the SEC tournament.
Great games.
Great games, but it was because of me. And what I mean by that is I pulled Paul Skeens out with the bases loaded against Arkansas because he had thrown 32 pitches in the inning, and I wanted him sharp for the next week.
Good move, Coach. All right, thanks.
Well, and it's like I'm never pulling Paul Skeens out with the bases loaded.
But that was a good move. I mean that.
And then I did the next day with Ty Floyd. I mean, we were rolling in that game. We were playing pretty well, and I took him out after 90 pitches. And then I didn't play Tommy White in that game, who drove in 105 runs, and he probably could have played.
I remember the game vividly.
And but we didn't waste that learning opportunity, even though it was completely my doing and my fault that we didn't win the games in the SEC tournament. We had a really good reflection as a team, in Hoover before we got on the bus to come home, and just kind of reset ourselves for the postseason. And nobody was beating us in the regional and super regional. after their response to that. We could have played the Yankees, the Red Sox, you name it. They weren't winning at the box in the postseason.
I
last
remember
year.
Bertman was winning SEC championships for a minute there, and then he had that attitude too. Finally, he's like, "Listen, I know the bigger prize here." And they started winning the 5 in the 90s. Then they were losing early some of these times in the SEC, and everybody would worry about them. Did you ever feel like LSU can be this place where they expect a lot, and it gets to be almost burdensome? And I wondered if you let the outside noises, because I know you were shutting your phone off a little more during that time, and I get that you're focusing on what's going on, but do you ever hear the noise outside? Because they give you some leeway, but not much.
Yeah, I think what anybody says about you has nothing to do with what actually happens on the field.
Right on.
And so that's just the way I approach it. My job is to help our players build self-esteem in their game, build confidence in their game, and execute the fundamentals of winning. And what anybody says about that, good or bad, it doesn't matter. And I know that's a hard thought to get around, but I've tried to operate that way, and I think it's really helpful, at a place like LSU. And here's the other thing about that. Like, you can't have a full stadium of 13,000 people passionate about your team and not have some of the other stuff. And I would way rather have the full stadium.
The full stadium's nice. It is so much fun going to LSU baseball games. People around the country that don't get it. Hey, you mentioned Gavin Dugas earlier, one of the greats at LSU, in my opinion, over the years. He was the guy that wore number 8 for you twice. So you've only had one guy in the 2 years, correct?
Correct.
So I remember when that started around 2010-ish. I could be a year or two off there, but Mikey Mautuk was the first one. And then, guys like Mason Katz, who's been on this show a few times. I used to play high school ball with his dad. He was a great player at LSU, but it goes on and on. Alex Bregman. There's Mason right there. But Mikey started this thing, and now you couldn't have asked for a better guy to have it this year. Hayden Travinski, who came out of nowhere. There's Alex Bregman, of course, who wore it, I guess, about a half a dozen, maybe about 7-8 years ago. But it's been a litany of great players. And there's Travinski right there. He got it. But what is he about? Because this guy has now become a cult hero. They got T-shirts, they got hats with his trademark glasses, big mustache, and the little Fu Manchu on the bottom there, or whatever the little thing is, the Dobie Gillis thing. So what is it about him? Because he's immediately likable.
Yeah, he's got a great personality. I think he's very thoughtful and very mature in his thoughts. And I'm really proud of him. I think physically he's ready for professional baseball. But at least in the 2 years I've been here, he's been hurt, most of the time. And so even, into part of the season last year, well, he's healthy now for the first time. He was healthy at the end of the season, and he didn't get a lot of pub because of Tommy and Dylan, Cade Beloso, the rest of the offense. But when we were rolling, he had a lot to do with that. He's one of the most dangerous hitters in college baseball.
He is Hayden Travinski, and I say it because we got a ton of picks up. I want just people to remember who. Yeah, this guy. Look at this look. This is the look right there. It doesn't get any better than that. But his passion. This guy is a clutch hitter too. But he had this streak. I don't know when it started. It was like April, May, wasn't it? He just seemed like he went on a roll. Did you have a hunch that this was about to happen? Because you've got other catchers. You got Brady Dean. You got Milazzo. You got guys. And I know he's been designated hitter a lot. But, did you just ride this horse? Did you just knew this was always in him?
Yeah, you could see the talent. And I tell you what was really awesome about last year with Hayden is he wasn't playing a lot for the first 25 games. But, we try to make value out of every day. A great shot. Make value out of every day. And I could see him improving as he was going along. And we had a conversation kind of middle of SEC play. And he goes, hey, I'm good with everything. I'm good with my role. I want you to know I'm ready if you need me. And I go, I know. I've been watching you work every day. And you're the best player you've ever been today. I said, I'm going to start getting you in for some pinch hits. We're going to start mixing you into the catching rotation more because Brady had just gotten hurt. And we really got to another gear as a team when he was playing his best.
You got, obviously you have other catchers. You have Alex Milazzo, who I've actually was friends with Beloso, so I got to know him a little bit on the phone. He was going to come on the show. And he just seems like another guy with a great personality. Brady Dean, I mean, it's almost like an embarrassment of riches at a position. You need an embarrassment of riches. I mean, that's one of the most important, some might say the most important position on the field. But what is your take on your crew you have right there?
Yeah, very good. I think we won a national championship, and all three of them started over 20 games last year. I mean, Brady Neal won the starting position right off the bat, and we were never not the #1 team in the country. He's an excellent defensive catcher, hit homers off some of the best pitchers in college baseball last year, took really good at bats for a freshman. So he's healthy again now, so we're excited about him. You know, you mentioned Alex. We won all 5 games in Omaha that Alex started behind the plate, and I thought we were playing great baseball when he was starting for us. And then Hayden just gives you that real threat offensively, and really excited about having all 3 of those guys.
Now, you're bringing in some new guys. We're going to talk about some more returns, but you're bringing in some of the new guys to replace guys, you know, obviously like Dylan Cruz and Josh Thompson at short. I mean, talk about some of the new guys you got coming in that are going to start right away.
You know, there's still some positional battles, you know, going on, you know, as we speak. You know, Jordan Thompson did a great job for us last year at shortstop, knowing the type of defense he played last year, and, you know, replacing that was important. We really liked Michael Braswell at South Carolina when we played them, and when he went in the portal, I wasn't really even worried about what else was out there. I just really believed he would be exactly what this team needed at shortstop, and I felt like we could improve him as a hitter.
What is he like? What's his game?
Incredibly sure-handed. He's going to make every routine play. He's got a terrific arm. He used to be a pitcher. He has excellent leadership skills, which is outstanding for a player that's transferring into the program and is only in their first year, and has really improved offensively. We've done some things with him strength and conditioning-wise and hitting mechanics-wise, and have opened up a better player offensively. So I'm really excited about Michael.
So that asks another question. When you say when his name came in the portal, how does that work for you guys? Y'all have this little thing that goes ding, ding, ding when somebody pops in? Like, how do you find out right away when somebody's name reaches the portal?
You know, at the end of the season, you really have to be on top of it because, you know, guys are going in all the time. And it's tough in the SEC right now. I mean, everybody's kind of building their teams that way. We're doing it a little bit different, where we're just trying to go after the top guys and then develop guys within our program. And I feel like maybe the separator for us and helping us these first couple years is we've gotten some of the best players out of the portal. But I really believe in development, and I want to have a mixture of guys we bring in as high school players, have them improve every season in the program. And then when we have a specific need, like we did at shortstop, you go get somebody like Michael.
So you're bringing in a guy that you actually played for you at Arizona. Tell us about him. I mean, he's going to play some outfield for us.
Yeah, really excited about Mac Bingham. Really surprised he didn't get drafted, especially with the type of season that he had last year. But when he wasn't going to sign a pro contract or a free agent contract, you know, when you're losing Gavin Dugas, Cade Beloso, some older, more experienced players, I knew Mac could bring that element. He's very familiar with our system, and great maturity, great teammate. We knew he would fit in well with this team because the type of person he is, the type of worker he is, and really happy to have him here with this group.
Thatcher Hurd came in from the portal last year from UCLA. Obviously, Skeens did as well. Hurd's going to stay. Skeens obviously went first pick of the draft to the Pirates. So who are some guys that are going to be some arms in the portal this season?
Yeah, first off, about Thatcher, he's done a great job. I mean, he's put on 12 or 15 pounds. He's super diligent at his craft. I think he's so intentional about what he's doing, and with that talent, you know it's really going to take, and I think it took at the end of last year. I mean, there wasn't 5 better pitchers in college baseball the last 6 weeks than Thatcher. I think looking at some other candidates, Luke Uhlman, transfer from Alabama, right-handed pitcher. Gage Jump, left-handed pitcher, transfer from UCLA. Those guys will have opportunity to.
What do they do best?
Yeah, Luke is a real pitcher. Like, he just has unbelievable.
That's it right there, right?
That is Luke. He has unbelievable feel, great breaking ball, pitchability, throws it where he wants to, when he wants to. He's a great athlete, really good competitor. With Gage, you know, Gage missed last year because of Tommy John surgery. But I mean, it's a real 4-pitch mix. He's got great intent on the fastball, excellent movement, terrific competitor, both these guys just throw all their pitches for strikes and have really, really good stuff.
He was huge coming out of California, wasn't he? Like one of the top pitchers?
Yes, yeah. I tried really hard to get him at Arizona. He chose to go to UCLA, and when he went in the portal, I thought he might fly under the radar a little bit because he missed last season and didn't pitch a lot as a freshman because he got hurt relatively early in the season, and so. We jumped on that, and I was like, this guy could be as important as anybody that's going to transfer to one spot, and early return's really good for Gage.
Jared had a big year. They call him Bear? Is that what you call him?
The Bear, yeah, Jared Jones.
Number 22, right?
Number 22, is going to play first base.
Yep.
He's really improved as a first baseman. I mean, Trey Morgan is one of the best defensive first basemen I've ever seen, but Jared did a good job over there when we moved Trey to the outfield to protect his hand a little bit.
Yeah.
And had 14 homers as a freshman, hit 300 as a freshman.
Wow.
And
freshman All-American.
That's really hard to do in the SEC, and looking for good things out of Jared this year.
Have I left anybody out?
I think we have a lot of good players.
Right. No, throw some names out, because I feel bad. I don't want to just talk about these few.
Josh Pearson.
Yeah.
Has played a lot for us the last 2 years. Is a College World Series hero. I mean, that catch he made.
Oh my gosh! Are you kidding me?
The catch he made in left field is a big reason we won the national championship. The home run in the finals too. The last game, that was kind of like we're winning the national championship when that ball went over the fence. He's transitioning to play second base this year, and I'm excited about that.
This thing here, this home run tracker, where they do the speed when it leaves the thing that says 103. Tommy White. Was he like 120 or something crazy? I mean,
he won 110 last night. Yeah.
110. That's as good as it gets, isn't it? I mean, I don't know much about the speed leaving the ball. That means the speed of the ball when it leaves the ballpark. Is that what they're saying?
Yep. It was a line drive to straightaway center field too. The center fielder actually said it hurt his hand. I mean, and that's a long ways out there.
What is it usually like for a good hitter? Like 102.
I think anything over 100 is pretty good.
Okay.
You start getting over 105. There's a lot of damage in guys that hit the ball 105 or better.
Well, I know your wife came down with you, and I wish I had known that. I would have brought some extra shirts, because we have female shirts now. And I might send some. In fact, I will send some up. She gave you the ride. So we give shirts here. You won a championship, so you're getting 2 shades of gray.
I love it.
All right. That's 2 shades of gray, not 50. But
awesome.
Coach, there you go. Appreciate you so much. And this is Mr. John's Steakhouse, the guy that owns this, played baseball at Tulane. His name's Desi Vega. And you go and ask for Archie Rodenkirk, and he'll take care of you. That's nice.
Awesome.
So enjoy.
Awesome.
That's
Thanks,
Jay
Scott.
Johnson.
Appreciate
you. Good luck this season. They start off, where you said you start? VMI?
VMI at home, February 16th, 2 o'clock.
February 16th, what day is that? That's
Friday.
That's a Friday, 2 o'clock. In the box! Check that out. And, of course, they go to Houston to take on Rice and Texas and all those other schools that are going to be involved in that big tournament they have every year. Hey, we're not done yet. I told you this is an extravaganza. We've got football out of the way in the open. We're baseball the whole way through. We got great local baseball here in New Orleans and the region we always have. Coming up next, I have Blake Dean. He is the head coach for the UNO Privateers, and he was a World Series hero for the LSU Tigers back in the day. And after him, we'll have Jay Uhlman at Tulane. Boy, what a run they had to win the American Athletic Conference tournament, and that they want to build on that momentum to coming in this season. So we'll have those two guys next right here on Primetime Sports. Stay tuned.
Max Durbus Realtors has been providing commercial and industrial real estate services to its clients for nearly 100 years. Since 1934, Max Durbus has been locally owned and operated throughout the greater New Orleans area, including the North Shore, Hammond, and even the Mississippi Gulf Coast and beyond. We focus on your commercial real estate needs so you don't have to. More information is available at 504-733-4555.
Rock and roll will never die. It's old New Orleans, my oh my. Come on, baby, let's go rock and roll at the city lane. All night, let's roll, let's rock and roll. Baby, do the rock and roll. At the mid-city lanes, the home of rock and roll.
Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. And when I was a youngster, out of LSU, Tulane, and UNO was the powerhouse. They're the first team from Louisiana to make the College World Series with one of my high school teammates, Kenny Benora, playing shortstop. But let me tell you this, UNO has a proud tradition. We all know the Don, the Godfather, Don Maestri. Don Maestri, right? Not Ron Maestri.
Yeah.
No, but they have great history. And now they have LSU, former LSU player Blake Dean. He's in his 11th year on the lakefront, 9th as the head coach. He was a volunteer assistant his first year. Then he was an assistant under Maestri after Maestri made his comeback and kind of bring the program back. But Blake had some immediate success with the Privateers, and they're continuing to roll, and he continues to do a fantastic job. He's been on this show as much as anybody not named John Brady, but here he is. Blake Dean, what's up, buddy?
What's up, man? Appreciate you having me again.
Good to have you, man.
Yeah,
I mean, I've watched you go from the single man to having a 14-month-old kid.
Yeah.
I mean, now you're living real life.
I'm telling you.
You got the 14-month. How often is that? What's it like having a 14-month-old? Because I forget. It's been so many years.
It's tiring. It's exhausting.
Right.
It's awesome. It's great. But I'm the wake-up guy. Take the daycare every day. I'm whooped. I'm whooped. But it's awesome.
It's the most important job you'll ever have, Coach.
That's right. Hardest
really
and best one I've heard.
It certainly is. And I mean, I have kids in their 20s, and it's still reaping dividends. I just love it. Hey, moving forward, this is a UNO segment, so I'm not going to get on LSU much, but I have to ask you one question because I thought about you during the World Series as a coach and a player. Last time LSU won the World Series, you were a star on that team, 2009. Last year, they were number one most of the season, and they stayed number one at the end, and they won. I know you're not a baseball watching guy. Generally, you get away. But did you happen to see any of the World Series? Because they had some epic games during that run.
Yeah, I watched some of it. I caught the Wake Forest game. Obviously, the big play Trey Morgan made on the bunt. It basically saved the game and took it in extras, and they won it. And then, those guys were hot. You got to get a little bit lucky at certain times, and you got to be good. And they peaked at both right at the right time, and obviously brought home a national championship in year 2 for Coach Johnson.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. You mentioned Trey Morgan. He's a local kid. Do you get to know all the local guys that wherever they go to college and play baseball that are from New Orleans because you're recruiting them, or are they? You know them well?
Sometimes. A lot of times these guys, previous to the new rule changes, these guys have been committed since they were in 9th grade. So I don't waste time on guys like that are already committed and things of that nature. But you get to know them through their teammates, and sometimes like Dykeman used to come and still does come hit at our facility sometimes. So you get to see guys like that come around.
I haven't heard that name in a while. What's he up to, Dykeman?
Honestly, I don't know. I know he was playing for a little bit. I think he may have got released, and I don't think he's maybe trying to get picked up on a new team. I think he was with the A's, I believe. But he still comes and hits, looks good. He's a monster, so he comes around from time to time.
I don't know how you do it, Coach. You lose players constantly. You're bringing out bat boys to play. How do you continue to win?
I'll tell you what, it's gotten extremely difficult with the portal. I've told people this. The portal doesn't help me as much as it hurts me. I've had the hitter of the year last 2 years in the conference. One is at Mississippi State currently. One's at Houston, and then I lost my.
They just left?
Yeah. Well, the second baseman left last year. And he's back for another year.
Okay.
And my left fielder left this past season. He's at Houston, and I lost my 2 middle guys. One went to Tech and one went to Pitt. So it's tough.
That's got to hit you right in the heart, huh? I don't know as a coach how you deal with that.
Yeah, well, what it's doing is starting to make us over-recruit, right? So, people used to, you want to recruit the guys you have and be loyal to them, but at the same time, there is not much loyalty anymore, so we're over-recruiting. In case I do lose a shortstop, sure. I got to have my butt covered.
Right, you go into a room, though, you're right. It is a fine line, isn't it? Because you go into that room, that kitchen or wherever you recruit with the family, and you're saying, hey, you're my guy. You're going to be here. But you don't know if that guy's going to leave you, so you have to recruit somebody to compete with them. What is that like?
It's just a never-ending revolving door. That's what it's created with the portal now. Again, there's no loyalty. It's from one to the next. It's tough, but again, at the same time, if I was back, at LSU at 18 years old and getting NIL money, I'd probably do the same. Right. It's some life-changing type stuff. So it's a catch-22. You just try to make the best you can do, and you hope that you can keep a couple of those guys and you don't lose them every year.
Has NIL creeped into baseball fully now?
I think so, at the higher levels for sure. At the higher levels, even these guys that I had here that are going to some of these other schools, they're getting stuff. Yeah,
so
they're getting stuff.
How do we get a bag man? What do we do?
I don't know. Obviously, you got rules to it, and they've you got to have that middleman, I guess. But
do you have to have middleman these days?
Well, you're not supposed to set it up, right? So you're not allowed to set up these NIL deals. You're not supposed to have any part in it. Like at LSU, it pretty much sells itself. Gordon McKernan is doing all this.
I got Gordon and Mike Arata doing the Tulane thing on the same show about a year ago now, and it turned out to be one of my favorite shows, right?
Yeah, sure. So you have guys like that that are just pouring into the program every year, and you're seeing now like coaches are getting in trouble a little bit because you're not supposed to set it up.
Right.
Obviously, these people are supposed to come after your players, and there's portals and things like this, and it's a mess, quite frankly.
But that's not necessarily, I mean, because Tulane doesn't do it that way. LSU guys do it individually, and Tulane has this collective, so somebody's got to make the calls to get money and set these things up with the players. So the rules are very gray right now.
Yeah, they are across the board. I mean, like again, they may have a company that goes out, like a marketing company that goes out and a collective makes these phone calls for the players, and then they can dish, the department or however they have it set up dishes it out to the players equally or however they want to do it.
What's your pitch for UNO when you go out looking for a player? Because I mean, my godson you recruited ended up playing at Auburn after he left LSU, and I know you're a great recruiter because he told me it was a hard decision. I mean, and he stayed in the SEC, but what is your pitch for guys to come play for you at UNO?
Well, I always sell young energy, right? I'm 35 now. I've been doing it going 9 years as the head coach, but I still like to, I can relate to them. I can talk to them. They can understand me. I think my players, I probably know way more than my players should allow me to know, right? I mean, hey, this guy, coach, we went out last night, had a good time. Whoa.
Right.
Let's monitor what we say.
Right.
Keep it off.
I'm still the coach.
Yeah. And before it was like the opportunity to come in and play, and now I've even got to the point of saying, hey, listen, come play for us. We can just say it's going to be for a year. It's a glorified, a step up from a junior college now. You bring these guys in, hey, come in, have a great year. Let's see if we can get you to LSU. That's crazy,
yeah.
But that's where we're at, right? It's where we're at. I'd rather have a stud player for 1 year than not have him at all, right? So that's where we are.
How's the run been? I mean, you got the job in your 20s. I mean, that's almost unheard of. So what's this run been like for you over the last decade?
It's been awesome. It's been challenging. It's ever changing. I'm trying to keep up with everything else that goes on. We had our overall our best season last year. We won 36 games and finished in the top 100 RPI in the country.
Phenomenal.
So it was great. We just got to win that championship game. We lost in the finals to Nichols. Who had a great team. So we just got to get to that. Once I get that, I think I've checked all the boxes from where we were to where we are now.
Well, I've been watching, dude. It's been amazing. So let's talk about something. You got your arms are hurt right now. I mean, nobody wants to talk about the things that aren't going well, but these are real deals. I mean, you're going into the season starting, 2 weeks from now? And I know one guy that's healthy is Colton Mercer.
Yeah. Mercer's awesome. So we recruited him out of high school. Turned us down to go to Florida State. Didn't pitch the way he wanted to there. Transferred and went to Chipola, another junior college in the Panhandle. And then we got him. So he was here last year. So an older guy, 6'3" lefty, anywhere from 89 up to 93. Has some really good stuff. I think he kind of came into his own. He actually threw 5 innings against LSU last year. Shut him down. We took him out, and it got ugly quick. So he's a pretty good arm.
So weekend pitcher for sure. Is he? Do y'all go like your Friday guy? Is that their number one guy? Is that what is generally what it is?
Typically, I think typically, Paul Skeens is, at LSU, he's a Friday guy. Typically, your best guy is your Friday guy. Like last year for us, though, we didn't really have a set Friday guy, so we would go a 3-inning guy on Friday and then throw, an inning apiece the rest of the game, whoever that may be. So sometimes you kind of throw off. You may throw your Friday guy on Sunday if you feel it's a better matchup. You just got to determine what type of staff you have and what works best for you.
Who are some other potential weekend guys for you?
Chris Olivier.
Transfer.
Yeah, Delgado kid. Was a JUCO All-American last year. Really good guy. Really good pitcher. Has 4 pitches. To me, he probably has the best stuff pitching-wise on the team. I think he's shows a lot of upside. A local kid as well. So a guy that we hopefully have some high expectations for. And then from there, Cortez Dennis is another arm that we're excited about. A guy that actually went to Meridian and then transferred to Pearl River and has never lost a college game in his career.
Are you kidding me? He was a big basketball recruit too. This is him in high school at Stone.
Yeah, super athletic.
Yeah, he inked with Meridian there. Yeah, he played a couple sports. These guys, what kind of height does he have? Because it looked like Olivier was tall. I couldn't, and he looks like he's got some height too.
Yeah, he's probably 6'4". Him and Mercer are 6'3", 6'4". Yeah, so they're bigger guys, and like I said, super athletic, and he's obviously a winner. The dude went 9-8, 9-0 at Pearl River last year, so just knows how to win.
That's 3 guys. Are they all healthy right now?
Two of them are. Hopefully we get the other one back. We're trying to get Olivier back where he needs to be. He's a little sore right now, so hopefully we can get him back, but I think we got a good core.
Who do you have out in the field that you can count on right now?
I think our 3 core guys coming back are Miguel Usechi. He was here last year, caught for us, DH. Yep, did a really good job for us last year.
Good leader?
Yeah, very good leader, great human being, very, very good kid from South Florida. This will be year 3 with us. He was a JUCO guy, but he got that COVID year back. So great player, great kid.
I feel like Isaac Williams has been around for a long time. I feel like I've talked about him on this show at least for 3 years.
Yeah,
maybe
he has.
More.
He has. Yeah. So he's been the center fielder. He was the anchor. I was praying when we lost these other guys in the portal. I was like, I can't afford to lose him too.
Isaac Williams?
Yeah. So Isaac is he's awesome. Great center fielder. He hits 8 to 10 home runs every year for me. He has been doing that in the 9 hole, but I'm gonna have to bump him up, hopefully to 3-4 hole this year for us. And then Mitch Sanford. Sanford is a guy, LSU kid, or went to LSU out of high school, had some injuries, transferred to UTA, and then we actually got him here. We took a risk on him. We didn't know if he was going to be healthy, not going to be healthy. And to me, he's probably the best pure player in the conference. He can hit, he can throw, he can run, he's got power. So he's a guy that'll, if pending he stays healthy, will hit 3-hole for me every day.
So you mentioned 3 guys, right? What are you going to do with the other 5 in the field? What's going on there?
That's a war, right? That's a war. Those guys, that's what I tell our coaches. If I had to write the lineup out tomorrow, it'd be a struggle for me, right? I've never not had my middle guys, my shortstop and second baseman. It's all new. It's all new. So it'll be a game time decision come February 16th, who's going to be where. So
Tim Duncan was just on the show recently with y'all's relationship, and how things going with him?
Yeah, I think Tim's awesome. He's always been supportive of me. Yeah. Been very supportive of me. They've given me a contract extension since they've been in charge. He understands our battles. It's no secret that there's things we have to overcome. But he's very transparent. I appreciate that about him the most. I'm sure he keeps some things from us, but for the most part, we know everything that's going on. He's been a great leader.
I love that your team went out to support the basketball team last night. They needed a win. They got a big win. They won by like 30, 40 points. And so your players were out there at the game last night. Hey, I'm going to tell this. Les needs to bring those guys every game because this seemed to be a good luck charm.
Yeah, no doubt. And they're repping these are our new jerseys this year. That's to commemorate the 74 and 84 World Series teams. So that's what they were rocking last night, the throwback jerseys.
Nice. I like that color blue. Yeah, and that's Mercer on the left?
Yeah, Mercer there and Kenny Clayton. Yeah, Jesuit guys. So two big arms for us.
Hey, you getting a lot of local guys?
Hit and miss. We'll get some. It's just us finding the right ones. If we can get the right ones, obviously we'll take as many as we can get. But we go recruit nationally. So we get the ones we can, and otherwise we go look elsewhere.
We give gifts. You probably have about a dozen of these task shirts. We're going to give you a new one. This is a new color. They call it Iron Heather.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Iron Heather.
Love it.
It's a darker version of that gray. And you know what? I'm giving you 2 gift certificates. Because Jay Johnson got 2 shirts. He can't go to the restaurants down here. He's got 2
That's right.
So we got 50 for both Mr. John's Steakhouse and Shays de la Shays.
Thanks, sir.
225s, that adds up to 50.
Love it.
I appreciate you, Blake.
Yeah, man.
Hey, so
appreciate
you start
you.
the season on the 16th?
Yep, February 16th.
Who do you play?
6:30 at the Lakefront, Georgia State.
Georgia State?
Yep.
At the Lakefront, 6:30. Check out the Privateers. We're going to support all these teams all year. I want you to get out and support your baseball. Hey, Southeastern, Nichols, UNO, Tulane, and LSU as well. That's 5 right there. And we got more. We got Delgado. I went to Delgado. Went to a basketball game the other day with John Brady. I try to get out as much as possible, and I hope you do as well. And one of those coaches I just mentioned from one of those teams is coming up next. Tulane head coach Jay Uhlman is going to talk about how that win in the American Athletic Conference Tournament Championship is propelling him to this season and what they expect to go on over there on Claiborne Avenue. Coming up next, right here on Primetime Sports. Primetime Sports with Scott Alexander is brought to you by the 3900 block of magazine, including Sotra. Fine decorative items for the home, including wonderful bedding and stock sheeting. Also Elysian, designs from the country of Turkey, clothing, shoes, and other fabulous personal accessories. And Julian Mack Fine Art, with some of the finest pieces from around the country. Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. Hey, I was a bat boy for the Tulane Greenway back in the day, and I quit the day after the guy that was sitting next to me got slammed by a foul ball. I don't know if it, back then they didn't really care much about all that. They weren't into protection, but I've been a Tulane Greenway fan for a long time. Like I've said many times on this show, I root for all the local teams. I was going out to games at UNO, basketball, baseball, and of course football for Tulane and LSU. But I like all the local teams. And I would say this, Tulane was the first one near and dear to my heart because I remember going to games in 1970, 71, 72 in baseball. Became a bat boy like 5 years later. One of those little guys, not the adult ones they have these days. But Jay Uhlman took over in the middle of the season, towards the end of the season back in 2022, and did a really nice job toward the end of the year. They gave him the head coaching job. They took their bumps through the year. They had a hard schedule. I told them, don't be scheduling all these California games off the bat. I remember him sitting right here in this chair this very week. I'm like, what are you doing, Coach? But they're learning how to schedule a little bit better. But all that work and those games paid off at the end because they went into the American Athletic Conference tournament down in Clearwater, Florida, and shocked the world. They kept getting win after win after win, stacking them up. Then all of a sudden, people started paying attention on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they ended up winning that conference tournament, getting into the NCAAs, and that was an amazing accomplishment, and I was so happy for them. But here he is, Jay Uhlman. Welcome back, dude. I think this is your third time here.
Yep.
Maybe fourth. Who knows?
It's always a pleasure. I appreciate being here.
You been all right?
Been great. Getting ready to go. So
I know you've been asked this a million times, but now that it's been 8 months or so, has that run sunk in? Because listen, I mean, it's so beautiful when you start winning a little bit, then you feel like you can't be beat.
Yeah, I mean, we got beat often last year.
Right.
So to get into that point at the end of the year where, the last series of the year, we just kind of tried to line up our pitching because the best shot we had at that point now was to win the tournament.
Only shot.
It was the only shot.
Right.
And frankly, the only shot you really have for sure in our league
Right.
is to win that.
Blake said the same thing in his league, even more so. Like, he's got to win that tournament.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way you have to look at it. And so we lined up our pitching, took our lumps at Memphis, then rolled back in. And, in the tournament, you win the first game, you get a day off. You win the second game, you get a day off. And so we exacted a little bit of revenge on the Memphis Tigers and 10-run them. And Carmouche, who you've had as a guest,
yes.
Pitched a complete game that day and saved what little of a bullpen we had and allowed us to get into that winner's bracket. And Houston had to go through all their pitching. East Carolina had to go through all their pitching on the other side because former Green Wave star Coach Mole, who runs the South Florida Bulls, he got their team into the winner's bracket too, had beaten ECU. And so ECU and Houston had gone through all their pitching. And so we were, the timing of it was good. We caught some breaks and they played well.
So as George Bush Jr., GW, said, you use a lot of strategery. You had some strategery going on, how you set that pitching up and you let Houston run out of the pit. And you knew this the whole way. You knew it was happening.
Sure, I'll hang my hat on that.
I mean, all year you're like making people think, oh, this team's sorry, okay. And then you did it at the end. You know what you're doing.
Well, they had to believe and they had to do it, and I think the fact that throughout the year we were in every series in the weekend, and we lost 2-3 to ECU, but in our minds we swept them. We had 3 games in one day because we had a rain delay, a game which we were winning, a game which we came back and had the bases loaded, nobody out, and it didn't work out for us. We didn't capitalize on that, which ultimately hurt us, but we knew that there was no team in the league that was just dominant over the other. So I think we truly felt like when we got there, if we could just really one game at a time, get a day off, kind of set us up. We felt like between Carmouche and Ricky Castro, the starting piece was good for us, and we had a chance with the kind of a handful of relievers that we had. So it worked out well. The guys played their best baseball of the year, and it was unbelievable.
I'm going to give you another compliment because I watched the entire tournament when LSU was playing, and I watched the entire game when y'all played. Was that a Friday afternoon?
Yeah, that was game 1.
That was the toughest game LSU had until the World Series. Like throughout the regional and then the super regional, y'all played them great. I mean, I remember it was deep and it was only like a 1-2 run game, and I remember that. And I remember gritty performance, man. I remember, was it Carmouche on the mound?
Yep.
Yeah, I just remember being proud of how y'all were playing. I mean, and y'all, that momentum sometimes you have a letdown after a big thing that's unexpected like that championship. You came out battling.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, you face a first rounder, first pick overall in Paul Skeens, and I think at that time we ended up having, obviously went CG, they won. It's not a moral victory. When you reflect on it and you realize and you go back and you look, I think we had the most hits off of him the entire year up to that point. I think Kentucky had 7 hits off him. I thought we battled, we competed. I didn't feel like we were overwhelmed. I think some of that was set up with how, tough the schedule was. In some bizarre way ended up, which I thought would help us. I didn't think we would have that much misfortune, but I thought it would help us when we got to the end of the year, and I think it did. And I thought we played the Tigers tough at home, had the lead into the 5th inning there, and their depth of talent just ended up being a thing.
Number one overall pick in the draft.
Yeah, he's really good.
And a significant number one. I mean, he wasn't just like a pipe dream guy.
Yep.
This dude's going to be a big time player in the major league. Y'all played him tough. You have a lot to be proud of on that one. Hey, you like my Mardi Gras set here? We got a 2-shot.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of threw this together this morning, Coach. But what I love here is you brought me a helmet. You got me a new helmet. I've had this other one with the old. Let's see if we can get
Angry
a
Wave
little shot on this one. We
to
had
the Riptide.
You got the Is it called Riptide?
The Riptide, yeah.
The Riptide. Now, this is not like the Angry Wave. We have an Angry Wave right here. That's what the football team uses. I use it as a prop. But this one, I've had the old T helmet forever.
Yep.
And every time you or any Tulane people come, I have props. I have a football helmet. And everybody, it's inevitable. I get calls, dude, can you update the darn logo, put something on it? And you gave me one of these last year, but it wasn't sticking, so it's on my refrigerator.
Yep.
But explain why y'all have the Riptide, which is a pelican, I believe, instead of the Angry Wave, because I think most people don't understand the difference.
Yep. So, forever we had the T with the wave, and when our former athletic director was here, him and Jana Woodson, they're kind of collaborating with the branding, and you want to try to brand, and you understand the branding part. So part of the process has been to eliminate the T wave, and we don't use the Angry Wave in baseball. So since we can't use the T, and we don't want to, you don't want to use the Angry Wave and the birds on bat.
Yeah.
So we felt like using the Pelican was kind of our best option with that.
The hat that's to your left, the audience is right.
Yep.
That's I wear that to take the dog down. You gave that to me last year. In that one, and I get asked a lot.
Yep.
People are like, hey, what is that? Because they thinking it's this must be an old logo. Right. And I said, I think this is what they're using now permanently. Coach gave me that, so I appreciate that. I wear that hat a lot. Hey, Coach, let me say this. This team, I just had Jay Johnson on, and obviously Blake Dean, and they have different takes on the portal now because one got harmed by it. Blake Dean got some of his best players going over the last 2 years, and the other guy obviously has benefited. He won a national championship partly due to his success in the portal. Paul Skeens being number one, but there's plenty of those guys that he's gotten transferred, including this year. Now that you've been here 2.5 years, 5 overall, how has the portal been for you, and how do you expect to use it in the future?
But it hurt us initially when in the coaching transition. We lost the bulk of our kind of experienced group.
To be expected, right? I mean,
a little bit to be expected,
right.
Yes. So that the initial part for us that set us back, but it actually helped us this past year when we needed to turn the roster over and get older and get more experienced and stronger. So that part has helped us out this year. So I think with our quality of our education, and I think with just kind of how we go about our business, I think I don't know that it'll harm us as bad as it did in year 1 for me, but I think I think it can be year to year. It doesn't, some years we might get harmed, some years we might not, but certainly it's going to allow us to get our program and fill the holes that maybe a freshman can't do, or a guy that's been in the program that hasn't made strides can't fill those roles. I think we can fill those with the portal.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think last week T.O. Banks was my first Tulane baseball player since the guy you mentioned, Dylan Carmouche. Yep. I may have had another one, I can't remember, but fact is, I like Carmouche so much I brought him twice. Yep. But T.O. obviously is I've said this a lot over the last 2 weeks, but he is the conference preseason player of the year. So that automatically, that's him on the show last week, a fine young man. And and I was confused because he played football at Permian High School too, and I thought that was Friday Night Lights, but he seemed to be oblivious to that fact. And I was like, "Isn't that the school?" And he's like, "I heard that might be." Yeah. I'm like, "Dude, that'd be advertising that everywhere." No, but he's a great young man. He looks like, when he's on the field, this dude looks like a ball player. Yes. Doesn't he? I mean, and he backs it up. So what makes him special for the Green Wave?
I think some of that humbleness, I think that was him just trying to be humble with you. So he's that way. He's loyal. He's fiercely competitive, and he's an electric and dynamic athlete. So there's a lot more in the jar for him. He's put on good weight this year. He's moving well. He was selected by his teammates to be one of 3 team captains, which I think speaks volumes to kind of his presence for us. So just, he was the conference tournament MVP last year, and he loves him some Clearwater. And so looking forward to him kind of taking the next step and having a great year and really providing leadership for us.
Yeah, listen, you mentioned everything you mentioned I was thinking of immediately, because the electric on the field, but the humbleness, and he just seems to have that whole package. As a guy that's in loyalty, that's the one. He could have gone other places. Yep. He wanted to finish here, and I've watched him. You guys were at the Cannery with Jay and obviously Blake doing the coaches thing and preseason previews. And he was interviewed, and he was saying, "Hey, listen, I want to stay here. I want to be here. I could have gone places." So what does that mean to you?
It's tremendous. I recruited him, and we had to talk him out of the draft. The Cubs drafted him out of high school, and so we had to talk to him about the things, why college was important to him and how that was going to be good for his development. And then in the coaching change, Houston came knocking, and Texas Tech, who I was out recruited him to come here, reinvested in his recruitment
That's
again.
His backyard.
Missouri again. So all the entities started to get back in there, and I think relationships are important to him. Loyalty is important. Comfort level. His parents were instrumental in that. The apple does not fall far from that tree. So
I heard you say in an interview recently that Brady Marquette could be a major league player. Yep. You think he's going to be there? Yep. What makes him special? Another guy that's stuck around. He's a big hitter, lefty.
Yep.
Yeah, so talk about what makes him great.
Yeah, left-handed, physical. I think he's up to 240. He's actually really skinny in some of those photos. He's up to a good 240, and it's good weight. And so, he's got the ability to get his barrel in the path of the ball early and stay in it long, and pitch recognition is really good. He can use the whole field. He's not just one-dimensional. He's actually, for his size, he's a good bunter. Not that I'm going to ask him to bunt, but part of hitting is being a good bunter too. Good vision and those kind of things. He's woefully underappreciated as a first baseman. He can really pick it over there, and he's a big target. So I've had guys like him in the past where I felt adamant about this guy's going to play in the big leagues. And I've said that from day one to him and his family, that I believe in his ability to play in the big leagues.
You have a shortstop that's a veteran. I mean, Holy Cross guy, Holy Cross Tiger, Catholic League. Good, solid ball player. Talk about Gavin Scholes.
Another team captain voted on by his teammates. We've, in true Gavin Scholes fashion of being selfless and a team-first guy, we talked to him about moving him to second and third and left field, the betterment of the team. He's also put on a lot of weight. He's up to, I think, 198. He's smashing the ball. He's leading by example and with his voice, which I appreciate, which he's always done, but it's even more so now. So just really, again, looking forward to him, probably, hitting him within the top 4 of the lineup, and just counting on him to provide that experience is going to be really key.
3 very good players, so just got to fill them in around there. Yep. Real quick, before we let you go, we do give gifts as well, but you're not going to California to start the season again, huh?
No.
Playing like 7-8 games out there?
Nope.
Are you gonna stay here, right here, over there in Turchin?
21. The first 21 games are in our state, and a couple of local
Coach.
Tuesdays. We go to UL, but all home.
Are you on the road or home for the first?
Home for 4 of the 5 weekends. Non-conference.
16th?
Yes.
And what is that? A night
Northwestern, 6:30. So non-conference will be 6:30 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday.
You got your options, people. You can go. You can go up to Baton Rouge. Yep. You got right around the corner over here at Tulane, and then on the lakefront, UNO. They're all playing at home the first weekend. Yep. Get out and support your teams, regardless of which ones you choose. Hey, you can go to 3 games.
Yes.
You can go to all 3 venues.
You can do it.
Play 3 times. Hey, once again, I can't give Blake 2 gift certificates and not give you.
Thank you.
You got one in your backyard on Maple.
Love it.
That's called Shays de la Shays.
Yep.
And then my man Desi Vega right here, Mr. John's Steakhouse on St. Charles Avenue.
Nice.
Paul Verisco, Archie Rodenkirk.
Thank you.
and Desi Vega.
Thank you.
Enjoy that. I know you know
Yep.
Desi.
Yep.
Former Tulane player himself. And that's Taz Performance.
Love these.
You're the
Thank
man.
you.
Hey,
appreciate you.
Appreciate
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
So you look like you're svelte. I mean, you're not doing that in New Orleans, gain a bunch of weight
Trying
thing.
not to.
I know. I'm always struggling between the double X and the X, whereas Blake's like, I'm struggling between the X and large. I'm like, just stop. All right, that's Jay Uhlman. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Jay's been good to the show, and get out and support them. Tulane, LSU, UNO. Hey, next week we're to Mardi Gras. So if you're watching this next week, it's the same show. So happy Mardi Gras for y'all. If y'all watching it this week, enjoy your week, be safe, have fun, and get out there. Let's say le bon temps roulé. Let the good times roll. Happy Mardi Gras, everybody. Thanks to Alex for producing the show. Will, my producer, is having a baby. Let's hope everything goes well with that. And, of course, Danielle and my man Logan getting it done, pulling up the bootstraps and getting it done over here. Appreciate you. David Harris is going to be here in 2 weeks. That's the Tulane Athletic Director. We're going to have a bunch of I've got this show stacked, so come on back, y'all. We'll see you then.